Podcast, you can't win. I touch black and whites just by stroking my chin. Tell Marva got a plan if he just sit in. And we can be the sons and thus fit in. Talking a good game, topics never lame. Conversations just the same, right before they left the brain. Seriously funny, but if you take us seriously, you end up smiling. If not, laugh hilariously. And every Tuesdays we're on the one, so stay in tune before noon. It's the Podical Sons.
It's ridiculously funny.
Welcome back to the best no judgment zone space in the world, because neither one of us had law degrees. I am Marvelous.
And I'm not your average Joseph.
And we are the Podical Sons. Let's start the damn show. How you feeling today?
Feeling like $1,000,000, man.
You sure? You look like you sweat like a Hebrew slave
Well,
over there.
it's like we put the little heat on, get the winter chills out the bone.
Yeah.
Hopefully the heat turned down a little bit. I gotta kick the back a notch.
You already know I'm a Miami kid, so I don't fuck with this Canadian weather. That's why my hoodie is stay tight.
You're already torching.
Hey, yeah, you're damn right. We got a lovely guest in the studio with us today. The Queen of the North, Alicia Cinnamon.
Hey, what's up?
How you feeling?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
Any better, I might sell my health card because I wouldn't need it.
You're always trying to sell your health card.
Hey, it ain't cheap during these tough COVID racial times.
It's not. You're right.
True.
I agree with that.
Exactly. So, Alicia, tell the people the Queen of the North. Give them a little quick synopsis about yourself.
My name is Alicia Cinnamon. I'm a singer, songwriter, model from the city of Toronto, and I like to refer to myself as an artivist. So basically, I've been in the game for about 6-7 years. About 6-7 years actively, and I'm just dropping new singles pretty much to the end of 2020.
That's what's up. So explain to the people and stuff what an artivist is.
So an artivist is a combination of an activist and an artist. So basically, I just like to use my platform to discuss like social issues that are affecting particularly the Black community and specifically Black women.
Nice. That's what's up. Yeah, we use our platform and stuff part like that as well.
Right.
Other things, so kind of works hand in hand. I feel it.
Is that something that you developed along the way as being a singer, or have you always had like that activist part about you?
I definitely always had the activist side to me, and then I just incorporated it. It's just the type of music that I write. The bookings that I was getting, a lot of them were like, because I had came up with a song called "I Can't Breathe" in 2013. So
right. Okay. From the guy from Regent Park.
Right, and so that actually happened. Oh, I sneeze. That actually happened a year before Eric Garner passed away in 2014.
Right.
So when the slogan "I Can't Breathe" became a big deal, I was getting a lot of bookings based off of the fact that a lot of people thought it had to do with the Eric Garner, when really I was just like, you know what, this song came from Canada before.
Right.
It's Canadian. Yeah.
That's what's up. So, tell me something, like, what do most people assume about you and your music and stuff before they hear it, and then after I know their lives gonna change. My life changed. I like two of my favorite tracks and stuff, whatever, is singing the blues.
Oh, nice.
And Aaliyah After Dark.
Nice.
But
yeah,
what do people assume before and stuff, whatever? Because I remember when I seen you on the first time I seen you was the R&B Divas event.
Right.
And I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, you got a nice little soulful voice coming from a petite frame, whatever, right? Was that what I expected?
Yeah.
What do you think most people assume about you? Like, what misconception people might have about your stuff, your music?
My music or me?
Your music.
My music? I don't know. I don't know what I think a lot of people are just kind of confused as to what type of artist I am, because I do a little bit of everything.
Everything, right, exactly.
So if you meet me in a hip-hop show, you think, oh, she's hip-hop. If you meet me at a reggae show, you think, oh, she's reggae. R&B. So
they can't typecast you.
They can. And I like it that way, because if there's too many people on my toes in one genre, then I just jump ship and go to the other one.
Got it.
And by the time they've caught up to me over here, jump back over here, just kind of keep people on their toes.
Nice. Nice, I dig that.
Yeah.
Do you mind being compared to other artists, other musicians? Especially in the female world, because, I want to say quote-unquote male privilege.
Right.
When it comes to certain industries?
Yes and no, because then people will allow like 50 Nas, but you can only have one Cardi B. So if they feel like that niche market has already been filled and it's like, hey, we don't need you, it's kind of like affirmative action for women. So I mean, when I'm in the R&B world, the biggest comparison is Tiana Taylor. When I'm in the reggae world, it's Coffee. So
Okay.
yeah. So and I'm older than Coffee, so that comparison is a little like, hey, Coffee is like me. I'm not Coffee, like,
Right.
you know,
But I
like-
mean, but in terms of popularity and where
Right.
they are in the career, I mean, that's not bad. That's
It's-
not bad comparisons at all.
It's absolutely not, but at the same speed, it's also insulting when you know that you've been at it longer
Longer,
than certain
yeah.
people, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, you remind me of so and so." It's like, I've been doing this. It's just we're in Canada, so we don't get that catapult like a lot of other places will. But,
Right.
So it's. I mean, it's obviously for the most part, people don't mean to be insulting, but. Yeah, I spent a lot of time coming up with my own sound, and I don't think that I sound like anybody. There might be like similarities, but I
Yeah.
think when you actually hear me, it's like, I don't think I sound like anybody.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Why do you think Canadians don't support their own, like how they support American artists?
Well,
And
I can only speak for Toronto. I would say Toronto is, labeled as, or the GTA is labeled as a screw face capital for a reason.
That's facts. But even like, okay, Shania Twain, like she was country.
Yeah, but
And I didn't even know she was from Canada, period, the first time I heard Shania Twain. And then it's kind of like, bit by bit, him and I, we spoke and stuff on like a few podcasts like back
Yeah.
about like Canadians will support rock and what's the other one? Country?
country.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to like hip hop, R&B and stuff, whatever, like
Right.
it's a different kind of dance and struggle and stuff.
Right. I mean, I think it goes deeper than the music. I think it's more of a cultural thing. It just kind of goes as to, black people don't really support their own. And country and rock and alternative music is predominantly white. So they support their own. I think that's just kind of a reflection of us as a community, which trickles into anything, whether it's restaurants, whether it's clothing. Being in Canada, it's going to be more difficult because we don't have the numbers as is.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
the black people that are, let's say if you have like, I don't know, let's say if there's, 3 million black people, you only have a certain percentage of those people that are actually going to listen to your type of music. So the numbers get smaller and smaller as you narrow it down. How many people like reggae? How many people like conscious reggae? How many people are, because you got some black people that listen to rock or country or whatever. So
I mean, you raise a good point as far as like the demographic and the numbers as far as our population is concerned. That I think that's one of the things we never talked about during the conversation that we've had with this whole music and support stuff. But you're right. Like, I mean, when I was growing up, we were always fighting to have. I mean, before Flow, we were always fighting
Right.
to have a black radio station.
Right.
Right. But then when you really stop and think about it, at that time, the black population, I mean, in Toronto itself,
Right.
wasn't enough to dictate the numbers where your voices were heard.
right,
There's actually under 2 mil in Canada, period. though.
right, exactly.
Like
See,
and
yeah.
that's
So
countrywide
that's
for like
Yeah, because
Right.
close to
most of them are
37
here
million.
in
There's only
Toronto
1
or
point
Halifax.
yeah, 1.8 mil.
Right.
Right.
And it wasn't till like, I would say from the beginning of the cry to like maybe 8 years after is when we finally got a radio station. But by that time, the numbers started to increase a little bit more. You have, more black immigrants coming into the country. Kids are growing up now, dictating that they want to hear more representation of themselves in the music. So a lot of more voices were heard,
Right.
and it got us that
Right.
radio station. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's always been a struggle like that. I
Yeah.
find within Canada, it's like you don't have. I mean, those who are willing to support, there's not enough of them. There's
Right.
not enough of us. Period. But
Right.
even few of those are willing to support.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it has a lot to do with the people that are controlling the industry as well too. They,
Machine. He was saying about he calls it a machine.
I wouldn't even say we have a machine in Canada.
Yeah,
like,
not
it's
here.
like,
Oh,
Yeah,
word.
Yeah.
I mean, Happy Meal toy. I don't know. We have people who think that they're in a position of power in the industry who, what's the word? Are very bad-minded. Like it's false power, but they use negativity to appear powerful. So there's a lot of like, if you're not rolling with this person, then you're not going to get this radio play, or you're not going to get played on this particular radio, or you're not going to get this particular booking, or,
Right.
you know, like, I mean, I can only speak for myself. It's like, I document a lot of things that I'll show. Like, I have a particular person that I show little things, so like, they don't think that like, I'm just making it up. And I'll be like, look, you know, look who, like, you know, today I might get like, I don't know, 5 fake accounts following me and saying some ridiculous nonsense, but I know it's not fans.
Right.
It's people in the industry that are doing these things. And it's like, oh, she just released a new single. My artist is about to release a single. We have to like spread a rumor about this person so that people don't like them.
Drama sells.
Yeah,
drama
like,
prevents sales.
Right, exactly.
Right, yeah.
There's an immense amount of sabotage in our industry. So I wouldn't even say that people don't support. It's that they don't even know what to support, because the people that are genuinely good are being stifled, because there's only so much, like, there are people who are helpful in the industry, but there's only so much help. Like, we don't have Diddy's or Puff Daddy's or, I mean, Jay-Z's or any of that stuff. So there's only so many people here that are going to get you to another level.
Yeah, to where you need
And
to go.
a lot of people won't just say, I can't help you. They'll just turn against you once they realize that, well, there's nothing else I can do for you. So let me go to somebody who is going to worship the ground that I walk on. So I think that is a huge factor, that there are, I had a lady come from Atlanta, and she was doing an event here for the first time, and she pointed out, she's like, there's a lot of gatekeepers in your city. Like, as soon as I got here, I had so many people emailing me, your event's gonna flop and all these other things, and I was embarrassed. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much like what happens to us on a regular basis. Oh, you're doing an event on Friday, okay, I'm going to do an exact same replica of your event on the exact same day. Oh, you did this type of song, I'm going to do the exact same song, the exact same tempo, throw in the exact same producer. Like, it's such a, what is it, crabs in a bucket mentality?
Yeah, crabs in a bucket mentality.
Not gonna get better and stuff, especially on that side of the industry.
I mean, as long as people feel like negativity is the only way to rise, then yes. Because, you know, a lot of people, we've seen the Nicki Minaj's and the Lady Gagas, and they came up with gimmicks, but they genuinely had a talent to back it.
Yeah,
So a lot of these people are just, a lot of artists are just filled with gimmicks. And it's, to me, like, I've never went out of my way to sabotage anybody. Like, people could think I have. Like, I'm very about myself. Like, I don't check other people's pages. Like, I stopped listening to other people's music for about 5 years just so I didn't subconsciously start sounding like people, or subconsciously steal ideas. So I found it really interesting when I stepped back and came forward. I'm like, okay, if I wore a blue shirt today, like 75 female artists on my page tomorrow would wear a blue shirt. And then it's like, if we're all wearing blue shirts, nobody's going to stand out. So it's not even like, not about sharing the resources or this or that, but it's like, again, we don't have enough numbers for everybody to sound like Drake. Like, you got to switch it up. The reason why Drake was Drake is because he came with something refreshing and different. So, yeah.
So so we had a Drake talk and stuff with him and I. Down south, well, I want to say like even southern from the border and stuff, whatever. You have a higher success rate of like crossing the border and making it compared to like here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is this only for like, in your words, like, is this more hip hop R&B type of realm, or period?
Hip hop, reggae, anything black oriented. I dropped my album Queen of the North in Atlanta just because I knew it was going to get a better reception over there.
I know.
And it did. Like, I did a 16-city U.S. tour. Like, I just had, it was crazy because when I was over there, then that's when so much attention came from Canada or Toronto. Oh, we need you for this and we need you for that. And then when you come back, it's like, oh, you're back? Okay. We don't need you anymore. So it's one of those where it's like, a lot of people miss you when you're gone.
Yeah.
But it's also like they want to be able to have access to everything it is that you're doing.
Yes.
So it's like, you make it over there because people actually want to see you make it. Whereas here, people want to be responsible for you making it. And if they can't actually like say, I did this and I did that and I did that, they're not.
They had a hand in it.
Right. Literally.
Your
like, oh, I was the first person. Like, I've had DJs like, oh, don't send your single to anybody else, only me. And I'm like, how is people going to hear my music if you're the only person that's playing it?
Right.
Yeah. And, you got like 1 week, you got like a half an hour segment. So it's a lot of selfishness that I think it just comes from the fact that we just don't have like artist development, and that goes for like the business aspect as well too. A lot of these people, promoters that just pop up one day and they have venue spaces, and all of a sudden they're responsible for who's good and who's not. It's like, I went to school for this. What are your qualifications to determine this is a authentic artist versus this? Like, I'll hear people say, oh, this person sucks or that person sucks, and it's like, you just happen to be popular and had a lot of friends, and now you're a promoter.
So I was gonna ask you stuff like that. Do you have to have like the look to sell, or can you just have natural talent to get where you need to be?
I think we're in a day and age where looks matter more than your talent. In terms of a female, black females, again, I can only speak from my perspective. If you're a black female, like I was like even saying like, I'm gonna like, I compete with myself. So I'm like, what would happen if I drop a sexy track versus my Black Lives Matter track?
Right.
How quickly would my views shoot up, and how many followers would I get because of that?
Right.
So it's like, and I've had this debate with a lot of people where it's like, oh, your numbers should be this or your numbers should be that. And I'm like, my numbers are great for the fact that this is a conscious track from a female. There's not a bunch of dudes jumping around in the video. There's not a bunch of strippers jumping around. So the fact that people are actually listening to that,
towards it,
is it like amazing to me. So I feel like a lot of females, it's just easier. Like, you already know if you got a great body and a pretty face or whatever, you already know people are going to watch you. A lot of times people don't even know what you're talking about. The song, I'll give a perfect example, WAP. If I heard the song before I seen the visual, I don't think I would have gravitated towards so much.
Right.
But the visuals were great.
Yeah.
And if you're a man, obviously there's certain things that you're going to enjoy. And it's like...
The cheeks.
Right. And by the time you actually take it in afterwards, like, okay, the song was kind of average. Like, it wasn't the best of the best of the best. Like, I like it, but it wasn't the best Cardi B song I've ever heard, or the best Megan, or the best rap or anything. Right. But the visuals were amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel like people gravitate towards your looks, because before we used to have like, the day of the radio. Now we're in the day of the visual.
Yes.
Right.
So people want to see, like, you would hear people say like, oh, you got a voice for radio, or you got a face for radio.
Right.
Like things like that. So I think looks right now plays a huge part.
And I think that it's exactly what you're saying. I mean, just the whole way how people are now listening to music has evolved. I remember I had an argument with one of my artists, and we're saying, if you're going to put out a song today, even if you're putting it out without a video, you gotta put that shit on YouTube with like a still image or something, because it's the world we live in is so visual. People listen to music through their eyes.
Right.
When they hear like there's a new release, the first place they go to is YouTube. Right. To see if there's either a video.
Right.
Or at least the audio. At least the
audio version of the track. Right. And it's so easily accessible. It's like I was saying, even in regards to the podcast, like, you don't need to be a subscriber of any platform. You just type in YouTube and it's there. Right. So just that ease alone, people say, oh, let me see if it's on YouTube. Right. And type it in real quick to see if the song is there. And 9 times out of 10, if it's just something that's released, there'll be a video with just either words or an image. It's just that whole visual aspect here. So you're so right.
Which is why it's true. When I did this, my single, "The Revolution Has Been Televised," we released the video before the single, because I was like, well, first of all, the revolution has been televised, so I want people to see it.
Right.
But also, I'm like, once people see it first, then they're going to gravitate towards the track.
Right.
If they hear it, it's like, oh, that's great, and will people listen to it all the way through? But when you're watching the video and there's so much going on in it, especially like, I like videos that have like, different shots and clips or whatever, so that it engages you throughout the entire thing.
Right.
So, and this one, I think the video is like 6 minutes long. So when we first did it, we're like, are people actually going to even watch it for that long? Because we have like, short attention spans. Which surprised me, because, I watch my analytics and it's like, people are actually, I looked at the end, and usually the end is where people trickle off.
Yes.
And my analytics actually show that my ending is actually above normal. So I was like, that's
dope.
pretty
Good shit.
incredible.
Yeah,
like,
that's
that's
dope.
really good.
Congrats.
Yeah.
That's dope.
For 6 minutes. I'm like, you haven't seen that since like Diddy been around the world. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
with the
No.
long
you know,
ass videos and
yeah,
stuff,
exactly.
whatever.
Back
See
in
how
the
it's gonna
90s,
end.
early 20s and stuff, 2000s. Yeah.
That's
So
funny though, because I would never thought that like. See, me, my thing is so I'm a sucker for talent,
Right.
right? Like even when it comes to like my hip hop and everything like that, like I need wordplay and stuff. We were talking about like the Buster and everything like that. I'm focused on lyrical aspect and
Right.
stuff for that, but I know I'm anomaly, especially like in
Yeah.
today's time and
Right.
stuff for that. And I'm only like a small percentage
Exactly.
of the consumer.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I still feel like in today's time you can still have like an unattractive like musician, whatever out there. Because let's say her.
Right.
I didn't know what she looked like for the longest.
right,
Right,
Right? It was just like a shadow imagery thing and stuff for that. But the vocals and the songs,
right.
it touched the soul. Then I look like, I'm like,
Well, it's kind of a catch-22. It's like if you I don't know how to say it without it sounding messed up. I find like okay,
speak your truth, boo.
if you are like big and ugly,
Yeah.
you have a better chance of making it because a lot of
Really?
the pressures of it sounds messed up and I hope nobody takes offense, but it's what I've observed is that there's not that when you come in the studio there's not that attraction. When you're interacting with certain people, they're not looking at you as a sexual object. It's like, yeah, let's get the song out of the
We're
way.
here for the
They
talent.
see-
Right,
right. They
right.
see
We're
money.
for the talent.
But when you are physically attractive or whatever, like if you got the body, the looks, this and that,
They don't really
it takes a
care too much
lot
for
for
the
them to even realize that you have sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's the whole dumb blonde or whatever, the bimbo aspect. Like it takes a lot to prove like, hey, I got a brain as well
Yeah,
too.
because the first thing they're saying is
Right.
you got here
Right,
on
you
your
don't
looks.
exactly.
You got
or
here on
you,
your
you
looks.
don't even need,
Right.
and even if you do have talent, you don't need it.
Right.
Like, here's what we can do for you, and just put on this outfit and this and that and whatever. So, I found that, like, you have a lot of girls that are like, not even I wouldn't say ugly, but they're not giving off that sex appeal again, like the Coffees or the Billie. It was Eilish.
Yeah.
I think
Billie
it is.
Eilish? Billie Eilish.
Right. Like they're not dressing in like body riders and this or that or whatever. Like they're
Right.
actually doing the polar opposite to force you to
Right.
listen to their music. So I find if you're one of those where it's like if you are literally forcing people, like, look, I'm not going to dress the part. I'm like, even for myself, like a lot of the stuff that I do, it kind of turns off that crowd that is looking for the physical because it's like, oh my God, this girl's always preaching or
Right.
this or that. She's always talking about empowerment or this or that. So it kind of turns off people where they're like, okay, she's not somebody that we can sexualize or not, and not that you can't,
Right.
but she has more to like, she's not just going for that.
It's
like,
more
trying to be a
substance
bad
style.
chick. Right. So, then I find like those kind of people weed themselves out for me, but I have to like force that because initially it's like, okay, she's cute. Here's what we could do for you and whatever, or you got here because of your looks, or who did you sleep with to get to this and that or whatever. When in my opinion, there's more men sleeping their way to the top than women, especially in Canada.
I mean, I can-
But I mean,
can
even
see
with
that.
you
Yeah, I
saying
see
that,
that.
even with you saying that,
you
though,
gotta
it's
eat. You gotta
still-
eat a little box for a meal. Like I eat some cooch for some meal.
This guy.
Well, I mean, it's more socially acceptable. Like nobody talks about the men that sleep with their PRs or their booking agents
Yeah,
and this and
right.
that to get the top gigs. But if you're a man, it's like, oh yeah, whatever. But if you're a woman, it's like, oh my God, she did this and she did that. So
Actually, I've been slut shamed a few times and stuff, whatever, especially from Exhibit A over there. But I mean, in any case, like you're right though, because I still feel like we're still partially with the remnants of the old world
Right.
compared to like the new world and stuff there, where like it hasn't fully gone out the window, and say quote unquote gatekeepers and stuff still have that kind of thing.
Right.
So let's say, for example, or stuff, if like he was a woman and they said, you got to suck cock to get to the top. And if it came to that notion and stuff, whatever, it's like I have some like Harvey Weinstein power influence
Right.
over how far you can catapult.
right, basically, yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, you'll like this. The funny thing too, when you're talking about the whole 16 tour thing, I know a girl. It was so funny where I know her personally and stuff like that. She hit me and stuff like that. I think she seen like one of the Sons on the Streets that I got at you and stuff with some
Right,
fun
right.
questions and everything. And she's like, "Oh, you know Alicia Cinnamon?" I'm
yeah,
like, "You know Alicia Cinnamon?"
yeah.
Because she lives in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
So then when she was telling me stuff like, yeah, she been to like a venue and stuff that you were at and everything, heard you sing, you have a beautiful voice and all the above. I was like, it's so funny. So then I started asking like a few people and stuff here. And I'm like,
Right.
because like I said, I hear your music. I'm a fan of your music and stuff for her too. And I'm like, how come you don't get that same kind of love and energy and stuff?
Man, Atlanta is amazing. Like, I'll be hosting mixtapes from like Toronto for Atlanta. Like, the DJs will hit me up like, yo, can you host a mixtape for me? I'm like, I never hosted a mixtape before in my life. Sure, like, what I gotta do?
Right.
And it's just like, you know, like radio play. Like, if I got a song and I don't have to like, hey, I got a new single. Like, they're paying attention to what's going on my page, and it's like, okay, send me the track whenever you're ready. You know, if you want any interviews done, let us know when you're in the city. We got this, we got that. Like, there's just, it's a different kind of energy and love because they actually appreciate the hustle out there. Here, it's like, if you tell somebody you're a full-time artist in Toronto, it's like, oh, so you're a local rapper or this or that. Like, there's not that.
It's a stigma with it.
Right. Whereas there, it's like, what? Like, you're an artist? Like, that's big. Like, and then when they hear you know, you're actually good, there's a total different level of appreciation for a hustle where I find Toronto is a lot of facade. If you're not pulling up in like a Ferrari and a fur coat and popping bottles, and like, I used to have people that asked me when I went to the club, like, why don't you buy bottles? I'm like, I don't really drink. You know, so I'm not going to spend $200-$300 on a Hennessy bottle that's going to be there still at the end of the night, knowing it's like $60 at the LCBO.
Right.
Like, just if I wanted to drink, I would, but if I have to, sometimes I ask myself, like, who am I doing this for? And so it's just the things that people thought were supposed to represent you as an artist. Atlanta kind of gets that it's not that. Like, the hustle is what makes
It's
you.
where it's at.
Here I find a lot of Canadian artists are manufactured. It's like, they don't want that come up story. They already kind of want you packaged and ready to go and already made. Like, you're not going to hear like, yeah, you know, I came from the streets, I was homeless and this and that. Like, they don't want that story. They don't want the single baby mother. They don't want the delinquent that used to be in jail all the time. They don't want the ex-drug dealer that's trying to make a difference in his life. Like,
they need somebody who they can just ship out and in and out and stuff.
It's just like Canadian Idol. I mean, we've never had a black Canadian Idol ever. American Idol has had
several
fat, skinny, gay, woman, illiterate, smart, like all over the spectrum. Whereas here, it's like their depiction of a Canadian Idol is, you know, somebody who is cookie cutter, came up with the good life, no difficulties, no past, no history, no negative association. Which, yeah, in a perfect world, that's great. But if you're doing like R&B or hip hop or even dancehall, that is a genre full of music of it's supposed to be about the struggle. Like, if you're rich and everything is good for you, then you do pop. Like, that to me is like the transition where.
But I think that's the difference between USA and Canada, as we stated before. It's like, in the US, I'm ahead of a record label, right? And I know that this music is the music that's going to go for the next generation to come, right?
Okay.
I've been used to dealing with country rock and roll people. That's my thing, right? Them dudes over there, I don't know how to handle them or talk to them and so forth like that. But they have enough people in that industry that I'm a buffer to. So I can just say, yo, Tyrone, that's you over there.
Right.
You deal with them and make me money. Canada, we don't have those Tyrones.
Right.
So in those positions where these guys feel comfortable to say, okay, we'll talk to you. We'll let you deal with them.
Right.
Right? So they never get dealt with.
Right.
Right? And it takes, it's like, I remember at one point when the baby blue era, when music was starting to pop and, you know, we were starting to get some recognitions. You had people coming with money to come invest, but they couldn't find the people who were saying, okay,
Socrates,
doing this over here, that over there. You know what I mean? That over there. Whereas they're so readily available in the US.
We also don't give respect due. So then there's that, why should I do it if I'm not being appreciated?
Right.
Like, I mean, again.
Hold on, what do you mean by that? Elaborate for my...
Like, we don't, like how Nas can say Roxanne Shante was fundamental in his growth in his career.
Right.
You won't hear that. It's very rare you would hear some guy say, yo, you know, it was because of Missy Me, my first, like, they won't do that, especially man to woman.
Right.
But particularly in terms of like the legends and stuff, like you won't really hear a lot of young artists. They probably don't even know who Socrates is.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't know. Like to me, is like my ultimate goal was to get a something produced by Socrates. Whereas a lot of people are looking like, yeah, you know, I want like Timberland or I don't know, Cartel, whatever, whoever's the biggest producer somewhere else, WizKids, whatever the case may be.
Not even knowing Socrates is
it's
just
like,
as dope.
Amazing. Like there's nothing he
dope.
doesn't do. And I remember when I opened for him when I first started, and he's like, yeah, whenever you're ready, hit me up. But I didn't feel like I was on a level for that. I'm like, when I come to him.
Was that a confidence thing though?
No, it was just I was very new, and I was just like, I want to be able to add as much value to the track as he's going to.
Right.
I don't want him to just give me a track.
Yeah.
I want, like, my mind is like, when I thought I was like, anytime I think of Socrates, the first thing that comes to my mind is the rallying video, Julie Black.
Julie Black.
And I was just like, wow, like, first of all, she got the space teeth. She looks like me, brown skinned lady. Like, this is like, wow, somebody from Canada who actually looks like me, because we didn't have anybody like at all. Yeah. Like, even to say it's like at least the lighter skin or the fairer skin, the biracial girls, they had the Carisha Turners and the Tamia, and you know what I mean? Like there was a lot more of that look.
Right.
Yeah.
But in terms of like a browner skinned woman, there wasn't. So when I seen Socrates partner up with her, and actually the track was dope, and I was just like, wow, he's so like okay with being in the background. Like he's not extra and trying to be all up in the mix. And then when you find out how much work he's done, it's just like, how is he not like the number one person in demand right now? Like, how are we not like bringing him back out from the archives? Like, I personally feel, and I've said this in a few interviews, like if he were to come back out and really, you know, start making music for some of the Toronto artists who genuinely have the talent, I think it would catapult Toronto into a totally different direction. Like, especially right now.
Because I guess the industry here, I guess the gatekeepers and stuff, whatever, or the quote unquote gatekeepers and stuff, they just move kind of different.
Yeah, it's like, we went to high school together. Like, I get it. You know, you want to support your clique, but sometimes your clique isn't good. You know?
Listen, a lot of times.
I mean, let's keep it 100.
I won't say sometimes. A lot of times, man.
95%? 95?
Yeah.
I say this to Mark all the time. Let me see if you agree with this. Mm-hmm. Rapping in Toronto has become the new barbershop.
Interesting.
Whereas back in the day, a lot of these hustlers would take their money and say, you know what, I'm gonna wash it. I'm gonna open up a barbershop or hair salon for my and that will be the way to wash my money, right? Then you had that one era in the 90s where everybody had a hair salon, a wash shop, right?
Yeah.
Now it just seems like
I'm a drug dealer with talent.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
No, I'm not a drug dealer with talent. I'm a drug dealer. I want to find a new way to wash my money.
Exactly.
Right.
Because, I mean, they were hitting with this whole thing with Toronto hip-hop rappers and the violence and so forth like that. And I'm saying, no, you guys are looking at it wrong.
Yeah.
These are criminals who said, hey, you know what?
Let me try a thing.
I got money.
Yeah.
Let me throw it over here in Ryman and do this for a time being.
Right.
We're not talking about those who actually are rapping, who are actually Toronto rappers who maybe not necessarily have the money to get their video on World
The average
Star.
Toronto rapper, in my opinion, the authentic ones, they're usually squares. Like, it's very few. Because, I mean, first of all, a lot, and this is what a lot of people don't realize why we don't make it to the next level, is you got a lot of local rappers who can't even cross the border.
Yes.
So that minimizes the pool. And if you're rapping, like, it's different. Like, again, that's why for me, I don't box myself in. I'm like, hey, you know, I can go to America, I can go to Jamaica, I can go to Europe in terms of my music. But if you're rapping, you can't not have America. Like, you need it.
That's a must.
You know, it's like if you're doing reggae, you need Jamaica. So it's like, as a rapper from Canada, the biggest, if you can't go to America, there's only so much you can do in Europe. There's only so much that you can do in Jamaica or the Caribbean or anywhere else.
Yeah.
So then it becomes, well, I've already, like, and I've had rappers tell me this, like, you know, I've jacked up my career, so I want to feature with you because, you know, at least you'll be able to take it certain places. And then their mentality is also like, but if you don't do this feature with me, because I can't get anywhere, I will drag you down as well, too.
Jesus.
Yeah, like there's a lot of guy-girl beef in Toronto, which is another thing that I find really whack.
Really?
Yeah, I think I have more beef with male rappers male rappers particularly, but male artists than females. Like, I don't think there's a few females that will fire little indirects, but there's not many who are bold enough to really flat out get at me.
Right.
I'm sure maybe that might change.
See, and it's
somebody might call my bluff on the interview, but
and it's so funny because I mean, when we went to the divas, it's like just looking how y'all were together and just be so supportive of each other's like. You see that, and you expect that. You expect that to just be throughout the entire industry, but it's obviously that's not like how it is.
I don't think it's like that 99.9% of the time. Perception is everything. It's, you know, if you're a professional and you know how to conduct yourself, it can appear like as if there's unity.
Right.
I find a lot of the people that I looked up to as peers didn't feel the same way. So it's the unity is like it's
we're gonna sell this for the public.
There's unity as long as it's beneficial.
Okay.
But
right.
I mean, that's business.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's business.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say there's much unity.
Yeah.
But there's definitely people who know how to handle their professionalism. Like, look, we're at a show, we're doing bookings. We don't have to be the best of friends. We don't even have to know each other outside of here, but we're professionals.
We're making paper.
Right. And that's where I find the Toronto industry, it lacks professionalism. I wouldn't even say unity. Like, I could work with somebody and not like you at all. And you'll never know that. Right.
Okay.
You'll never, ever know that. Because it doesn't, just because I don't like you doesn't mean I gotta come in. Like, to me, I'm looking at it like, you know, my fans are coming here for me.
You got a job to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and it's the same thing even with collaborations and features, you know, it's like, we don't have to be the best of the best friends. Like, just get it done. And I found myself like, not really doing features anymore because it was like, okay, if you fall out with that person, then the song won't get promoted and all this other stuff. And really, it's like, who cares if we're friends or this and that? If we got a banger, like, let's just get the track out there. So, yeah, I would definitely say there's, and I think it also has to do with, again, going back to the fact that we feel like in all of Canada, there can only be one. So, like, because all we've seen, right, like, we only have one basketball team representing all of Canada, and we have, like, I don't know, 3 in hockey. Like, overall, in the entertainment field, we don't have multiples. It's like, you are that person, or that's it. So, I think a lot of people are like, well, if I support this person too much, they might make it further than me.
Damn. I didn't even look at it like that. You shed a whole new light on that, man. Yeah, so okay, you're going into some of the things and stuff that you've seen, like, from the industry. So, what are the dark sides or dark things you've seen from the industry that rubbed you the wrong way?
I would say that I don't like to be a part of the industry. I just like to make music. The industry is a really disgusting place. Like, doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. As a female, Black females particularly, we are very undervalued. So it's kind of like, you should be grateful that you're even here in the first place. So you should do this and you should do that. And, like, you know, I've had producers that, like, have kept my tracks because I wouldn't sleep with them. I've had, you know, multiple incidents of, like, you know, unwanted advances or touching or, you know, the slander that comes with it, because the female is always the first to get blamed.
Right.
So essentially it's like, okay, that person's problematic, she's this, she's that. I'm very outspoken. Like, my no's mean no's, my yes means yes. So if you do something that I don't like or I don't feel comfortable, like, a lot of people, I have a level of standards for myself.
Of course, yeah.
And I find a lot of people like, how dare you respect yourself that much? Or how dare you have that?
Yeah, because some people put money over integrity.
Right.
Yes.
And I used to just, I guess you could say, blame the men, but then I realized there's a lot of women who feed into it. I mean, first of all, you have a lot of women, like, you know, Toronto's got its own, what's her name? Maxine Grisling, the lady that was helping Eppenstein.
Oh,
I mean, there's a few of those here. You know,
bootleg just Lane.
Ghislaine. Like,
Ghislaine, nigga. He couldn't say it for like 5 episodes.
Yeah, I don't
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh, it's Ghislaine?
Yeah.
Oh, I was calling her Ghislaine.
I ain't the only person
That's all I'm like, what are you talking
There's
about?
an S in there.
I'm not the only person who's that problem.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, we have a few of those, and then we also have women who are. You have women who will literally be like, okay, what do I got to do to get this track? Who do I gotta, suck or whatever? Like, I've heard stories about girls getting like, like going into the studio and getting Backstreet coming out with a hit track and feeling like, they're an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was so many bars and play
Right,
words like Backstreet and hit.
Right.
There's a lot of hitting going on. I was like, yo, I'm like, you know what? My jokes, let me tone this shit down for serious shit. Go ahead.
Right. So, I mean, there's so many of that. And again, people feel like, because I've had people tell me like, oh, but that's just the industry. That's just what you're supposed to do. Why are you fighting it? Why? I'm like, no, I didn't go to music theater school to come out and, suck some peen to get a track.
Okay.
Like,
You can say dick
oh,
here.
I can say, okay.
You can say dick
yeah,
here.
like,
He says this all the time.
like, that's not what I like signed up for. Like, I don't like making music because I want to be famous and rich. Like, it comes from my heart and my soul. And
Right.
I write my own music. So I don't really, anything that I'm coming to you for, it's probably going to cost me. Like, whether it's a video shoot or this or that. So I'm expecting there to be a monetary payment. There's going to be anything else after that. Like, I can do it myself. So, like, I'm not going to, well, I'll give you this track. If no, because I write my own stuff. So I'll just take that song and go to another producer who I can pay to reproduce whatever beat it is that I need. It might take a little bit longer, but I'd rather do it that way. So I found myself getting labeled as difficult because when people realize, like...
So you're getting blackballed.
Yeah. And Toronto's too small for that. So I laugh. Like, when... Yeah. It's like, I don't know, like jelly bean ball. Like, it makes me, like, I laugh because I'm just like, you just, like, you can't, like, and I'm independent. So, like, and it's... whatever, like it is, it sounds arrogant at times, but I laugh because I'm like, there's nobody here that I need. Like, it would be a great asset if you can help. Yeah. But I can just hop on a plane and get out of here and I'm good. And my music, like, and that's why I did my album the way that I did it in Atlanta, just to prove to myself I don't necessarily need the Toronto industry. I love it. You want to, you want your home city to love you and this and that, but I'm not gonna kill up myself or ruin my life to just impress some people who aren't even really impressed with themselves. So, so I found...
But hate spreads faster than love here, though.
Absolutely. I mean...
You said Screwface Capital, right?
Screwface Capital and, Caribbeans, they'll chastise you before they give you a compliment. So I think, I think a lot of it, like, we are definitely... It's a Caribbean-oriented culture and, like... Yeah. And, like... Not necessarily in a bad way, but like, anybody who grew up in a Caribbean household knows, like, people tell you about yourself before they tell you the good things about yourself. So I feel like a lot of that trickles down into everything the quote unquote hate. Right. It's like, if you're I personally, like, I mean, haters are annoying, but I also look at it, I'm like there are people literally on my Instagram right now, a couple, certain people that really don't like me, but they refuse to unfollow. And it's funny to me. So I just, because I'm just like, you love me. Yeah. Like, you don't like the fact that you like me. That's what's bothering you. So, and you feel like there's something in me that you're supposed to hate. Right. But
it happens though. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, the whole envy thing is right. Like, why you take this time or this energy to say, I don't like your face. Send. Like, I'm like, you liked it enough to take the energy and time to... And you won't unfollow. Like, oh, this person's always posting. Like, like, I'll have, like, my Facebook is very political. And, like, I vent a lot of my thoughts. And whatever I feel, I say it. There's no filter on my Facebook, which is why I'm always in Facebook jail. But it's one of those things where, like, I do it because it's like, well, like, I log on every day. You don't have to log on to my account. Like, I say the things that I want to say. Sorry, I thought I put it on silent. No, like, I say all the things that I want to say because I can sleep at night afterwards. I'm not going to go home with all my pent up frustrations and emotions and stuff so that you can feel comfortable and you're getting a great night's sleep. And I'm here, like, stifling myself. And as an artist, that expectation is there. Like, you go on some people's pages and they have, like, maybe 200 posts and they're all just, like, pretty pictures. And it's like, who are you as a person? Yeah. Like, we're living in a world of reality TV where you want to know. Like, Cardi B got to where she was. Like, the talent was there to a certain degree, but it was mainly because people liked her. Personality, or hated her. Like, you're... Sorry, you want me to turn it up? Yeah, I thought I put it on mute. Like, you want people to
well, I personally want people to gravitate who I really am towards who I really am.
Right.
I don't want to surprise people in 20 years when they find out I was black, like Beyonce at the Super Bowl. Like, like wait, she's black? Like, and it's like, and I say that sarcastically because that was the response. Like, y'all didn't know that, but it was also she wasn't really pushing that in your face until recently.
Right.
Which is why for somebody like myself, I love Beyonce, but I can't take the black powering part from her seriously. Like, it seems like a marketing strategy for me.
Right.
It might have been her all along, but because it wasn't represented in her music,
Yeah.
it's like, man, Baja Media and all these people, they've been doing this. So it's
Yeah, but
like,
what if like, you know, person might have like, I want to say, like, we always champion like growth and development and stuff, whatever, on this podcast, right? You might come to a part where it's all like champagne, rainbows, and lollipops and stuff, whatever. But then the growth and development kicked in, and then now you're on like your quote. I hate using the word, but woke. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Now you're more aware. So now the fact you're more aware now, whatever, you're looking like, damn, I have this fucking platform right here to use. Let me bring awareness to the things that I now care about and stuff, whatever.
Yes and no. Matthew, her dad was a big colorist. So, and he feels no ways to talk about. Like, if you listen to his interviews, he's like, yeah, I knew I had a light-skinned daughter and she was going to make money. Like, I married her mother because I thought she was when I first met her, I thought she was white and I knew I was going to have light-skinned kids and etc. So he's very vocal as to...
I seen a Vlad TV.
Right. He knew what he was doing with Beyonce. Right. So, but at the same speed, I found that Tina was always woke. I feel like if Beyonce wasn't guided so much by Matthew, she might have touched base on this a little earlier. Because Tina was Beyonce always had the braids. Like, that was nothing new. She always had the cornrows and stuff. There's little things that Beyonce did that let me know, like, okay, she knows herself, but she can't present it that way because you're appealing to a certain crowd.
Right. And then even recently, so I want to say not that recent, but let's say there's a point in time, I think, what is it, the birthday album, the B-Day album? Mm-hmm. I think from then, that's when it switched, the management switched. It went from Matthew to Jay.
Right. As soon as she left her father, then you started to realize, like, hey, Beyonce's black.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Like, you know, because I mean, and again, that's where for me, like, I can't knock it because Beyonce is Beyonce, so it obviously worked.
Right.
But me being the person that I am, it's like, I wouldn't be able to bottle all that up inside for 20 years. Like, it would come out after 3 months or something.
And then you take that energy.
Right.
And a song?
And more or less, it's like, okay, so if people gravitate towards you because they think you're spiritual, and then all of a sudden you flip on them.
Right.
You know, you're going to lose fan base. Yeah. So if people are gravitating towards you because they think you're this, you know, sex vixen, and then when they really get to know you, they realize, like, you're pro-black or this or that or whatever. It's like, man, I didn't come here for this. I didn't come here for your quotes and your posts and this and that. I came here to see some booty. So, you know what I mean? Like, so I want people to know, like, I have this post that says, you know, I probably confuse people. It's like, is she spiritual? Is she ratchet? You know, is she, like, you'll never know. And I'm like, I'm mixed. Like, I like to show people, like, there's...
You're multifaceted.
Right, because you don't really see females as one or the other. Like, you can either, this person's always talking about love, or this person's always talking about, you know, their vagina, or this person's always talking about wokeness. You don't see that combination. Yeah. Like, it's like, why can't I be pro-black and still have a video about, you know, how I want to give it to my man?
And I feel like because you're independent. That's just me. Because I feel like if you have a machine, you have a quote-unquote machine or industry behind you, they're going to guide all that shit. Because the first person that came to mind was, what's her name again? Pink.
Right.
When Pink first dropped, when she was under L.A. Reid straight, it was just more of like an R&B type of feel and all the above. Right. And then I gravitated towards that right? And then now when she did her second album and everything, I'm like,
I actually liked her alternative album.
You know, it caught me off guard.
Yeah.
No,
because there was too many white girls doing it at that time. Like, she was better. She had more soul than Britney and Christina. Yes. But when she got into that rock stuff, I'm like, I feel this is more her haircuts and all that stuff. Like, I feel like this is her.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you just like that. Like, I think she had like one of those E! Hollywood True Stories. And she was like, L.A. Reid was the one that kind of just forced that first album and stuff. Like, you got to do it like this. Right. And I was like, you couldn't be independent doing that shit. No. Back then.
Right. Absolutely not.
Today, you don't really need anybody and stuff.
You don't.
Whatever.
I mean,
Lil Nas X.
Look at Tory Lanez.
Yeah, exactly.
He dropped a whole 17 songs about his entire life that most people would never doing, like, nobody in the industry, like, at first I was like, why would you do that? But then I thought about it, I'm like, I'm independent. If I wanted to,
You can do
I
it.
could very well do that. Which is
much.
why even, like, a couple days ago, like, I was listening to it, somebody sent me a live, and I tuned into the live, and I was watching it, and it was kind of like what we're discussing about right now. And the person was, it was basically why don't Toronto DJs support Toronto artists?
Right.
So I was agreeing with the person that was talking to the DJ, but then for whatever reason they flipped on me. Once they seen my ass in the chat, they were like, hey, I don't like this chick. So they started straying from their point just to kind of get at me, and ended up kind of agreeing
with their point.
with the DJ.
Yeah.
Like, you counteracted. I'm like, we're supposed to be unified, but you let your dislike for me sway you off. And then it was like an indirect, like, oh, if I hear another person make a shot about a DJ, I'm going to write a diss track about them. And it was obviously me who they were speaking about, because based on the stuff that I was typing in the group and whatever, like, I'm agreeing with you. I was like, what the hell? I'm showing unification. So I thought about it.
That person probably trying to sleep with you before you.
No, this was this person had a vagina. So I thought about it.
We're progressive.
Yeah.
That person trying to sleep with you, but you were into the scissor.
No, not even close.
Exactly.
But no, that's not what it was with that person at all.
Okay.
This is just another
Hate for no reason.
Yeah. So I don't even want to give them too much light. But basically what it was like, so I was like, that was funny to me. So I made a post and I was like, look, like, because this person doesn't write their own music. They were firing shots about why doesn't certain artists get songwriters and managements and this and that, and a lot of little things. And it was all, everybody knows I always talk about being independent and writing my own music and whatever. And I find it funny when people like, oh, like, why don't they get songwriters? I'm like, my music is actually on the radio because I wrote it. Like, I don't think people understand that feeling of knowing every single word that is coming from that came from me. There is no, hey, you should try this or you should try that. I'm not saying that I down that.
Yeah.
But to know that there are people who listen to my music that I wrote 100%. I don't care if I get a Grammy or this or that. It's the fact that it's like, do you know how many people who have management and still can't get radio? Or who have deals and stuff and can't get it, who have songwriters and stuff and they can't get to that point. So I'm like, I've already did what I need to do. But going back, I was like, I hope you have a big budget when you write this track, because I'll respond in French, English, Spanish, jazz, blues, hip hop, reggae, dancehall, R&B, and I'll just keep dropping tracks. And for every one track that you need to be approved of, I could drop like 20.
Interesting. So
that's the beauty of being an independent, which I think is why a lot of people kind of like are hesitant of how to approach me, because this girl can do whatever the heck she wants. And there's nothing we can do about it. She wants to go live and rant and rave. She can. And that was where, like, I actually had a label hit me up this week. It was like 2 days ago. I'm actually supposed to call them after I leave here. And they were like, do you have management? Do you want a manager? Here's what we can offer you, etc. And when I went on their page, because I've had several people offer me deals before where I'm like, no, because the first thing I noticed is that they want to change who I am, rebrand me, have no idea of who I am. They're just like, this girl's an artist, she's pretty, she's got followers, cool, do you need management?
Right.
So the first thing that I saw with these people is like, you get to keep your creativity and maintain your independence as an artist. All we are doing is trying to help you elevate the brand that you've already established. Right. We're not going to make you change who you are, your points, or what you stand for and this and that. I'm like, that is the only time I can see myself working with like I have my, my drivers and my business manager, my lawyer, if I need to make contracts and stuff like that. Right. But in terms of my bookings, what it is that I want to do or don't want to do, that's all my choice. So if I screw up, it's me. And if I do great, it's me. So I was like, it's getting overwhelming now, because I do have a lot, like, in terms of responding to emails and all these different people, there's a lot of things that I miss out on. So like, I wouldn't mind.
You can benefit at this point.
Yeah. But you need to be able to do for me what I can't do for myself. And I also still need to be able to be the person that I am. Like, yes, I understand now I'm going to be representing you guys as well too. So if there's some things where I can tweak it a little bit, compromise a little, no problem. But I still need to be able to be me.
Well, I always say to Mark, I mean, the best way of starting out is always doing it yourself, being involved in yourself. That way, when you get to the point when you need to hire motherfuckers, you know what that motherfuckers is supposed to be doing for you.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah. Right.
Pretty much. Because you get to a point where a lot of people and stuff, they'll look at some things and they'll say, we've been following you. Let's say we've been following you, been a fan for the first 5.
Right.
And now you produce like 7 more or whatever. Like, you've changed.
Right.
and everything. This is not you, or this is the new management, this is the new
Right,
company,
right.
and everything. Like, same thing with the Beyonce
Right,
thing.
right,
Be
right.
like, yo, does it feel genuine?
Right. Exactly.
Does it feel real? Does it feel
Exactly.
authentic?
And you've worked yourself into a position to say like, well, what can you do for me that I can't
Exactly.
do for myself?
Yeah.
But see, a lot of people and stuff, I feel like they don't get what they deserve. They get what they negotiate. And
Right.
they negotiate the bullshit.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
that's where they'll lose, like, I want to say the essence of the real self.
Right.
Compared to, like, whatever, I guess, might catapult you to,
Yeah.
like, the masses or
I
the
always
appeal.
looked at it like, what was it, Master P, when he was like, I think they offered him like $1 million, and he's like, if they offered me $1 million, I'm probably worth 10 mil or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And like,
Right.
that's how I look at it. Nobody's ever gonna come to you with what you actually deserve. They're gonna see if you know what you deserve.
Of course.
And some people, if they're in a position to give it to you, then they will, and others gonna be like, well, I tried a thing, and I'm gonna keep it moving.
Yeah.
Me, I'm always like, before I really go deep or sign any contracts or anything, because people love giving me contracts right off the bat. I'm like, follow me on social media for a couple of weeks and see if you actually want to work with me, because you might not like the artist that you picked up at the end of the day.
Very true.
It's like whether it's a man who thinks like, yeah, she's pretty and I can get her to do this, and like flip, she's difficult. It's crazy because I think like maybe when I look at my analytics, majority of my fan base is men. As much as I'm about empowering women.
Right.
So it's interesting when people like the way I look at it, I'm like, there's obviously a demographics of men who their attraction isn't just about the titties and ass. There's
Right.
some men who are genuinely attracted to whatever, quote unquote, powerful women. Or like you said, the lyrics. Or, you know what I mean? Somebody who's just like, man, this girl's going hard like a dude. Like, she's not out here looking for handouts or this or that.
Yeah.
So there's that niche market that a lot of people forget about. It's like there are some people who are really about, like, they look at like, oh, this person's this and this person's that, and it's like, but there are people who want that, and there are even females that are like, well, I'm not outspoken, but this girl says everything that I feel inside.
Exactly.
Right. And those are the ones that I do it for. Like, I'm not speaking for the people that already have platforms and stuff. It's like every day I wake up, and sometimes it's like, okay, I'll wake up happy, and by the end of the day, like, I'm spiritually drained because of the emails or the messages that I'm reading, where it's like, man, I gotta go fight this battle today and that battle because some girl has told me, she was molested or this or that or whatever, and it's like she's not in a position to talk about it. So I'm gonna bring up scenarios on my page where people are like, oh, why you always bring this up and why you bring that up? And it's like, I know there's people that are watching that are looking for the answers in the comments, or has anybody went through what I went through? Like, they might not speak, but they're there. So I get a lot more, like, I always talk about the outspokenness because people they'll put it out there. Oh, you're aggressive, you're a black woman, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, I'm outspoken and I'm passionate. And
you can't be a typical, I mean, like, not even typical, but you can't be a black woman and be outspoken. It's even like the thing when I was seeing pertaining to Kamala Harris, like when she did the vice presidential debate and everything, and she just kind of fixed her face.
Tongue.
Yeah, she fixed her face and everything, and then they were trying to like, that's that black woman shit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but I found again, there goes the professionalism where I watched her and I seen so much of myself where I'm like, he just repeatedly was speaking over her and had no respect.
yes.
Right.
And as a black woman, you have to cautiously and consciously be like, okay, I can't do what he's doing to me, because if I do it, I'm going to be
It's a
labeled.
problem.
Yes.
Right. So I seen her like waiting. Okay. So the only thing she had was her facial expressions.
Right.
And then even with that, it became like a
problem.
thing.
It was still a problem.
Right.
It was still a problem.
And I find that it happens. There's more people in our community that dislike women in a position of power than white people do. Like, white people are not really, I can't say for all, but overall, it's like my issues of my outspokenness or my powerfulness, it didn't come from white people. Maybe there's a 1-2 white supremacist who might try to stifle me in the comments randomly on Facebook.
Right.
But for the most part, it's my own people. Like, it goes back to, the Jim Crow days where it's like, stop acting like a nigga. Like, so it's like, why? Oh, man, you don't have to talk about this. You don't have to talk about that. And it's like, me not talking about it is not going to make it not exist. Like, if anything, like, we should start talking about these things. And if it's making you uncomfortable, that means it's a problem. Like,
I think from sometimes the stuff, whatever, even like the Beyonce thing, like, to go back, not to rehash, but it's kind of, people come to your page for different reasons.
Right.
They might be a fan of music for different reasons.
Right.
I might be there for the lyrical and the songstress that you are, and somebody might be there for an escape for reality.
Right.
Somebody might be there and stuff for the fact that, like, yo, you have this appeal, you're attractive, and you can sing too.
Right.
So your page or even like your social media platforms might be an escape for them from like their day to day, and then when you come with the real shit and stuff, you're like, fuck, I plan to come for the fantasy, and you came back with more reality and stuff. That's why they might make a comment like that.
Right. For me, it's like, that's not my problem. Like, if you're not paying me, it's not my job.
CTC, cut the check.
Provide an escape for you. Like, social media is free. If you want to book me for an event, then I'll give you whatever it is. Like, once you're booking me, you need the professionalism. That's where, again. But my social media is my space to vent. So my Instagram is one way. It's a little bit, because it's so public and everybody can get on my page. It's a little more professional and this and that. I'll have my moments where I might post something and be like, maybe I should take it down, but I got it out my system. But my Facebook is like, I've been on my Facebook with the same account from before I was an artist. So people grew into me as an artist this way.
Right.
So it's like this, because of the stuff that I went through, the stuff that I experienced, my Facebook is almost, it's like my microcosm where it's like, this is where I get my material from.
Right.
I have a second page where it's like, my second page is, again, because, and it's also the people that are on there as well too, they bring out different sides. So my second page is like, these people are great. I don't know where they came from. They're amazing. Then my main Facebook page is like, what's wrong with you people? You are the ones that need fixing. So it's like, it's a catch-22 where it's like, okay, I could just run away from it, but it's also like, I need to know what's going on with these people in order for me to continue having my content.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the political stuff that pops up on my page, or even just the way like certain people, like a lot of black men and the stuff that they post about black women, and it's like, why are you okay with posting this? Like, we really need to have this conversation, because I got Spanish guys on my page, I got Chinese guys, I got Indian guys, white guys, and I don't see them posting anything like this about their women.
Right.
And yet, every time I come on Facebook, at least 7 or 8 times for the day, I'm going to see some kind of degrading post about being a black woman. So as an artist, and I got a lot on my page, they're like, oh, you know, like a lot of my artist friends are like, man, I wish I could be more like you, but whoever they're behind or working with won't allow them to do it.
Right.
So for me, it's like, I kind of feel like I have like a, what is it, due diligence. It's like a responsibility where it's like, there are going to be people that are going to be mad at me for certain things, but usually there's a reason why they don't unfollow, because somewhere deep down inside, they know like, she's not lying.
Question.
Like,
all that stuff that you'll see, and that might rile you up, make you feel a type of way, or like spark that due diligence and everything like that. You take that energy and convert it to songwriting.
right.
How hard is it to write a song? Like, when constantly, you just fucking with social media, you get bombarded by all types of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for me hearing you,
Yeah.
you have a political side to you, you have a ratchet side to
Yeah.
you, you have a soulful side to you and stuff, whatever. How hard is it just to write a song?
It depends on what I'm writing about. I mean, like, I used to have this thing where I would write a song a day until my schedule just started getting hectic. And that was
Really?
like from like, I started writing when I was like 7. So I used to, when I really started taking music seriously, I was like, okay, I'm going to write a song a day because one of these is going to be a hit. So I've got like maybe thousands of songs where now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, just compiling them.
Yeah, fine tuning them.
Right. Like this song might actually, like, I've like the new song that I released, it was like a combination of things that I had jot down. Just like I'll brainstorm, like, oh, this line is sick, and I'll just write it down. Like, I got things all over, like papers, napkins with just lines all over the place. And then it's like, okay, let me grab this napkin, that napkin, and put it together, and here's the song. So it's the same thing with my Facebook, where
You should
it's
call
like,
that shit food for thought next time.
hey, there you go. And I was like, it's the same thing for my social media, where it's like, okay, I can pull from the ratchetness, I can pull from the spirituality, I can pull from the hoodness, I can pull from the blackness, the empowermentness, and that is what creates a song. It's like, even if, like, for example, if I were to give like a sexy song, there's still like a deeper message behind it. You know, if it's a black power song, there's still like, it's still something you can groove to.
It has some substance.
Right. And you
it
can
has
still
a style to move to,
Right.
to groove to.
So I like to do things like, it's like, you know, I'll give you a trap beat, but I'll like preach on it. So you don't even realize you're getting the lesson until like afterwards, when it's soaked into your head and you're like, you know, that's actually, she's actually saying stuff in this. And going back to what you said, songs of mine that you like singing the blues, I can't tell you how many men like that song. I think more men like that song than women. And I wrote it obviously from a woman's perspective. Right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Because me, like, we say this and stuff, I stole it from him, but I'm pro-human.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't look at any type of thing and stuff. Yeah, I'm a black man and stuff,
Right.
but I know right is right and wrong is wrong in my
Right.
eyes.
Right.
And when I hear the song and stuff, and I was like, yo, it's not easy for women out here or whatever, right? It's really not easy. Like I told somebody and stuff, whatever, like when the day my son was born,
Right.
I had a different perspective on how women's lives were.
Yeah.
It took my son to be born. That moment, I was like, oh shit.
Right.
And then I'm more aware now.
Right.
Right? So now when I'm hearing that song and stuff, I'm like, yo, niggas need to put their daughters onto this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what it is for me. It's like I don't make music for kids. I make music for adults that are making bad decisions.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like,
no, it does, because he even says and stuff, whatever, you're not poor, you just make poor decisions.
Right. And it's like, okay, we've all gone through heartbreak. We've all gone through this. We've all gone through that. But and this is where my music is a contrast from, I guess you could say, my social media. Where, I use my social media to be like, get all the anger out. But in my music, it's the vulnerability. It's like, wow, this girl has really gone through things, or she knows people who have gone through stuff. Like, maybe I can see why she's so passionate about this or that or whatever. So it's that and that comes from when you write your own stuff, like you get to be a little bit more vulnerable. Like I've had people send me songs which were amazing, but it didn't fit who I was. Right. I'm like, I will cuss all day, every day in real life or even on social media, but you won't hear that in my music. Right. Because I don't want to have to do a clean and a dirty version and all this other stuff. Like I read a lot and I read the dictionary and thesaurus. There's other words I find sometimes, even just in my day-to-day life. Like if I'm swearing, it's just because I'm being lazy. Like, there's other words that I could use to fill it in.
I consider myself lazy.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like I'm smart enough that I know I can fill in a word when I'm good and ready, so I'll be lazy in my day-to-day life. But when it comes to my music, that's where I like to show people my intelligence and the wordplay. So I find that the reason why I think a lot of men gravitate towards my music is because that's when you get to see the softer side of me. It's like, she's so hard. Got it. And then you listen to blues and it's like, dang, like, or even Aaliyah After Dark. It's like, oh, she does like turning on dudes. Like, she got a little...
Right, and that's the thing. That's
like,
the thing,
it's there, but
that's
it's
the thing
like,
that got me, right? Because I'm looking like, I'm like...
And that song is huge in Atlanta. Like, it was like on like a couple of like top 10 at 10s and whatever. I was like, okay.
So, okay, like, I think like from like a few weeks back and stuff for her, I'm like, all right, let me prep myself for stuff for you and everything like that, right? So I was beating up the Queen of the North and everything, and I'm like... And the Aaliyah track
that sounds horrible.
Huh?
Yeah, and it's funny because he's usually quick. He's usually quick on catching.
Hear me out. No, but see, me, the pervert that I am, I'm okay with it.
Ways.
Exactly, and I like that because you don't know which angle might come. Don't put me in a box. But then, and like the Aaliyah track came on when I was driving and stuff like that, and I was like, my volume was at 33.
Right.
I had to push that bitch to like 38. Yeah. So now I'm like, yeah. It's so crazy and stuff for that a fire track like this.
Yeah.
Like, I know the person. Yeah. Who made this track or whatever, and this thing slaps. Yeah. So that's I'm like, the singing the blues is one thing and stuff, but then when you come with a different side, I'm like, yeah, worth the money.
Right. That's what it is for me. At the end of the day, I'm like, I don't care what you think about me as the person. When you listen to my music, you can't deny it. It might not be for everybody, but that's why I'm like,
that's a big fact.
The EP, it's like you got hip hop, you got R&B, you got blues,
the
you
reggae.
Got reggae. Like, you got to be a miserable person not to find something. Right. Find one. Yeah. There's like, and enjoy it, and just keep playing it over and over again if you don't like the rest of them. So, and that was what it was. Is like, because people are constantly like, "What are you?" Mm-hmm. And it was that reflection of like, even just growing up, because I grew up in a very diverse family. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what are you, coolie? This, that question is always, what are you? Right. And it's like, yo, I'm everything. I'm every woman. Like, I'm just like,
Shaka Khan.
Right. Like, I'm like, I grew up in a culturally diverse, and this goes into the music where it's like, I didn't just grow up listening to reggae or R&B or soca or whatever. I'm like, I had rock, I had country, like, like, Shania Twain, as you mentioned earlier, like that was my girl. Like when we had, was it Christmas? And I remember that one of the first CDs that I requested was Shania Twain. And my brother was like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, get some Wu-Tang or something. Like, so it's like, I grew up listening, like my daycare, when I went to daycare, my babysitter or whatever was like at home daycare, and she was Punjabi. So there was like a point in time when I and Horizon used to come out And I literally used to think I was Hindi or Punjabi. You couldn't tell me I wasn't like, yeah, Kuch Kota Hai. Like that movie's a big movie. So when I said it to Indian people, like, wait a minute, no, she knows something now. So for me, I'm like, I would totally jump on a Bollywood track. Like I just did my first Spanish track. My dad's side of the family is part Cuban, so it's like just tapping into being comfortable enough to be like, yo, I can tap into, like, I'm a black woman by all means, but because of this African diaspora, there's different parts of me.
Yeah, black people aren't a monolith, right? No.
Exactly.
So I feel like in any case and stuff, whatever, you can't just see a black person and just assume one thing, right? Like I want to say, like with me, like even like how I carry myself and stuff, on my days off from work. Monday through Thursday, I dress like I want to say a quote unquote square.
Right.
Whatever.
Exactly.
I have the casual Friday and I love me some joggers.
Exactly.
So I only have like 2-3 days to play with, whatever, right? I don't like the friggin' 7 and stuff like that. But then they might see me one way. Like I ran to coworkers and stuff. They're like, oh, I didn't know it was you.
Yeah.
Didn't know it was you. You're a medical professional. I'm like, and so
exactly.
Did they grab their purse tight when you seen them?
It caught one off guard and stuff. Whatever. They're like, hey, no, he's okay. He's a different. He's different from the rest.
Yeah, he's not like the rest of them.
Look at him. Yeah. So I mean, it comes with that aspect and everything, right? And I see it, which I think like is always to me refreshing, right? When it comes to music, because I don't expect the music I listen to be kind of one lane,
right?
When I was younger, Tupac used to fuck me up.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking like,
well, that's,
I'm going to shoot somebody.
That's
love
my
the kids,
inspiration.
And then you're like, what? As an adult now, what, you take it in? Yeah.
But I think, for me personally, that's why I liked music back then.
Exactly.
Because when you got an album.
Exactly. You got everything.
You got everything.
You were supposed to have a club track, a lover's track, a gangster track. Yes. Like, there was prerequisites on, okay, you have too many of this, you need this now.
Right.
Now it's like, I could listen to an album and it just sounds like one long song.
Yeah.
And even in the, like when I go in the club, it could be a different artist, but I'm like, why does everybody sound the same?
Yo.
And I had people come to me like, oh, why don't you try like a SZA type track or Summer Walker or this or that? And I'm like, the fact that you can say SZA type is a problem to me. Like, that means that it's already out there and multiple people are doing it. Yeah. So why in the hell would I go and do that? And when you turn on the radio, you can't tell the difference. Is that SZA, Janae? Summer, I love all of them, but I'm sure somebody's telling, just like they come to me, sound like this because this is what's trending. And then it's like, but like this music, how do I explain it? My music sounds like the music I listened to and grew up on.
Right.
So who came up with this stuff? Like the rest of it, it's like, is this really what, like when I became a singer, it's because like, you know, I listen to stuff like I love 90s. Like, I feel like between the 90s and early 2000s, because I had older siblings, and all of them were in music.
Right.
So it was one of those where I was like, okay, I always wanted to, like, be able to sing a song like, I don't know, SWV. Right. Who right now sounds like SWV? So if I were to just come completely switching, it's like, why did I get into music again? Like, I had a sound before I got into music. So how did I start sounding like somebody totally different? Yeah. So I think that is where the confusion, especially as females, everybody like, oh, we need this. Like, I get it so many times. I'm like, do you guys understand what you're saying to me? Like, first of all, I'm like an artist. Yeah. So you're going to come to me and tell me like, scrap what I'm doing and go sound like somebody else. Like, it's not like I'm trying a thing. Like, it's already out there. There are people that genuinely, like, I got a fan base and stuff like this.
Most artists, when you're starting off, you don't know yourself, so you find yourself imitating things of people that you may like.
Exactly.
Till you get comfortable into who you are. Then you become that person. After you become that person as an artist, you shouldn't be trying to sound like anybody else. You're not supposed to.
That's like Mary.
No,
like
but
when Mary switched from
set. It's something that's just kind of set, right? Like I want to say, it's not really they're switching. It's kind of like I heard like Kalani's last album, and she had a track with Janae Aiko. And when the verses change, whatever, I'm like, nigga, everybody sounds the fucking same.
You don't know
I had to look,
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
Which one's on the hook again? Like
she, like Janae Aiko, she's not brand new walk on, neither's Kalani,
right?
But that's what I'm saying. It's just they just happen like that, and then this is just a merger,
right?
Whatever, right?
Right. I mean, and again, if that is the sound for like again, the music that I make is between what I grew up on and then also the culture. Right. So I didn't understand trap until I went to Atlanta. Like to the day, I don't like hearing Toronto guys do trap because we don't talk like that.
Right.
Like, so where'd you get this accent from? Like,
Carabana.
yeah, exactly. And it never left, just like you didn't. Like, so,
I mean, it was fun.
right? Like, I was like, okay, so with that now, I'm like, okay, I grew up, like, I don't know.
Mary J. Blige.
Everybody sounded like Brandy didn't sound like Monica. Mary J didn't sound like, well, that's where her and Faith had their beef, because it's like, wait a minute now, they could only be this. Like, nobody in the era, I would say up until the early 2000s, nobody sounded the same. Like, even Britney didn't sound like Christina.
Facts.
Pink didn't sound like them. Like, everybody had their own sound. Like, Nas didn't sound like Biggie, Tupac, Noriega, whatever. Like, there was so much.
You're talking the era where you had to sound
different. You had to stand
you
out.
Like nobody
else. Wanted 50 Biggie Smalls. Like, that's why it's like. And then when whatever happened with Shine, like when he came out sounding like Biggie, people were kind of like on that. Like, fence. I mean, he's dope, but I don't know if we're ready for that. So it's the same thing, kind of like with Pop Smoke, where he sounds more like Lloyd Banks, but everybody says 50.
I said Banks too.
Yeah, that he has a smoother rasp. 50 is more nasally, but I found, like, if you were to come out like 10 years ago and do that, like, people wouldn't big you up for sounding like somebody. Now it's like, oh my God, he sounds exactly like so and so. It's like, so you can just go buy so and so's album, like it still exists.
Well, what killed me being an audio engineer and knowing a little something about the behind the scenes stuff. What really started killing me is when I started seeing them selling presets for you to sound like other artists, and I'm like, wow, I was like, it's gotten
so you
this
can
far.
You can make me sound like Hov.
Listen, there's a Travis Scott preset. Yeah. There's a Drake preset.
I actually have an Alicia Cinnamon preset. When I went to that's when I figured it out, and I was like, what is this? And they're like, yeah, the preset, da 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 da. And he's like, I can make you one, and I'm like, yeah, but when I leave, make sure you delete it. I don't want nobody coming out of Atlanta sounding like me. Like, what the heck? I'm like, that is so weird. Like, and it just makes it, I guess, I mean, it's easier for the engineer.
Nutmeg or something like that. And she's just trying to pop.
There's actually an Alicia Cinnamon in Barbados on Facebook, which is so funny. I'm like, I wonder how many people like hit her up. She's an older lady. So I'm like, I wonder how many people hit her up. She's like, I'm sick of this chick. Like, who the hell is she?
Sing us something. Right? Sing us something. I don't sing.
She's like, yeah. I was like, what the? Who the hell is? Let me look up this chick. So, because I was looking, I was like, like, let me look and see if anybody has my name. I'm like, wow, there's only one person, and she's black. Go figure. Like, there's only one person out there that has that name, and I just thought, like, wow, that's really interesting. But yeah, going back to the whole preset stuff, I guess for an engineer, if you're lazy, it's easier.
It's easier, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But again, that creativity, it's the same thing for DJs. Like, my dad was a DJ, so I used to see him, like, and the thrill, like, because this is, like, like the King Turbo days and the Military Sound days. Like, when Baby Blue and Sunshine, like, when it was, like, real selectas. And he used to enjoy being the first person to play a new track. Now, when you hit up a DJ, it's like, is your track already bubbling? Okay, if it's not in the top 10, we're not playing. It's like, why? Why do you want to play a playlist? Like, where's the thrill in playing the song that every other DJ is playing? Like, it's, like it's, you go to a club and it sounds like it's a CD. Like, you're not even reading the room anymore. It's just, well, this is what I set my list to play, so this is what the hell y'all gonna hear. I don't care if the DJ before me played any of these songs, I'm playing it again. And it's like, you ask them, like, oh, I don't really know how to introduce a new song. Like, you just play it.
Yeah.
Like, if I spend $20 to go inside the party and you play a new song that I never heard, it's not gonna be like, oh my God, fuck this, I'm out of here, I'm leaving. Like, no, you spent your money to go in the party. People might not jam right away because it's going to take them some time to get used to it, but you're not going to die if you play a new track. Like, they act like their career is going to be over in that one night.
You've touched upon something that a lot of people just don't understand with today's DJ and the DJ back in the day.
Right.
Today's DJ realizes I can buy the technology and the technology will do
everything
it all for me, right?
Yeah.
The DJ back in the day, he would have never asked you, how do I fit this in?
Right.
He's already listened to your track and he says to himself, okay, I got a set here that's around the same tempo.
Right.
It's in the same range. I can blend it in and you won't even notice. And it's funny because I just had an artist of mine just released a track, and my cousin who's a DJ in the US,
right,
he said, all right, you know what, I'm gonna spin it this weekend, right?
Right.
So I said, Cool. He says, get your artists to do the drops for me and so forth like that. So
Right.
he did the drops and so forth, right? So just last night we're hanging out. Me and a couple of friends was hanging out. We're just listening, waiting for him to play it. And so he says, it's coming probably around 9:00. It'll come around.
Right.
So we're listening, and I'm just listening. Where at this point I totally forgot all about it, right? The music is just playing in the background and we're having a conversation. Then he plays St. John's Rose. Right? So then songs coming to the ending and so forth like that, and I'm bouncing. I hear something in the background. I'm like, that kind of sounds familiar, but yeah, I still don't know what it is yet because he's only playing an instrumental and he's blending it in with the Rose joint.
Right.
So then when it's getting closer to the Roses fading out, and I'm like, oh shit, that's our song. Right? Plays the drops, goes right into the track, doesn't miss or skip a beat. So even if you don't know the artist, even if it's something that, you know what I mean, at least you're still there.
Right.
You're still in the groove.
Right.
Then what does he do? He spins in on the next hit right after it.
Exactly.
That is how you bust
You do
a
the
new
sandwich,
tune.
like-
You sandwich it
Exactly.
between. This is what a
It's
DJ
like writing an
who's-
essay.
has experience
Right,
knows.
exactly.
This is how I'm gonna break this tune.
So
I'm
what,
gonna
so
play
what,
between
what
two
happened?
hot tracks.
My question to you and stuff, not as a musician, because both of you guys are musicians and everything. What happens and stuff when set DJs are no longer able to spin, and you have the new school people who just rely on Serato or just the plug ups and everything like that? Then what?
You can still do the same thing with Serato.
He can still
No,
do
you
the
can,
same
you
thing.
can,
Oh,
but that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like with them now, what like how you're explaining and
Right.
everything.
Right. But
That's
this is
not
what
popular.
but this is what Alicia's talking
Right.
about when she says the DJ's asking her,
Yeah.
how do I play this? When do I
Right.
play this?
Right.
Because this is the mentality of today's DJ.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because I
can't rely on
actually
the DJ then in
learned,
the
like,
future then.
learned how to DJ last summer, like, just because I wanted to show them. Like, I was like, yo, I have, like, enough music to throw a party for my damn self. Like, I can play all of Alicia Cinnamon's music, and it'll just be all my music. Let me show you guys how to play my music. So I went live, and I just mixed all of my own music. And they're like, oh, that song's big. And I'm like, but I sent it to you. Like, why are you listening? When I play it, like, if you hear it on the radio or this or that, you're jamming to it.
Yeah.
But you're so afraid if you're jamming to it, what makes you think other people?
Others won't.
Like, I have people, No
Exactly.
Surrender, that's a big tune. Like, the Bears Hammond cover, that's a big tune. Aaliyah After Dark, big tune. So I'm like, so why are you guys afraid to play it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what is is it me? Like, what is the problem? Like, and even I'm like, okay, then I look at it like, okay, if you don't like the individual artist, but I'm like, but y'all still play R. Kelly. So, like, you can't, like, to me, it's like, it's like a fear. It's like a lot of people would rather play, like, I used to think, okay, is it the stigma? Like, for example, Tory. Some people are like, oh, I'm not going to play Tory because of X, Y, and Z, whatever. Me, whatever personal issue they have, I have my thoughts as a woman, but I'll never, ever discredit the fact that he's a ridiculously talented artist.
Right,
Yeah.
but we say this on the show all the time. Do not be blinded by your bias.
Right.
But people are blinded by their bias,
Right.
and then they shut shit down.
Right.
As much as we live in, I don't want to say cancel culture,
Yeah.
but like that's quick.
For me,
If you don't do something what the norm does or what we consider normalized or the standard, you're a problem and you need to be gone and done with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like, now, here's where I differ, where it's like, I understand separating the artist from the music, depending on what they write about. Like, if Tory were to be writing about, I'm going to beat bitches up and this and that, like, okay, cancel Tory.
Right.
I don't care how talented you are, cancel Tory based on what it is you're going through right now.
Right.
But if you're just telling your story, you can't discredit the talent.
No, you can't discredit.
Whereas things like R. Kelly, when I found him, like, first of all, it's been documented that those songs he was writing about little girls. So now because I stopped listening to him after, like, I don't know, years ago. Like, it's nothing new to me. I was always turned off by him because when I listened to the lyrical content,
that's why as an R. Kelly fan, that's why I can't decipher like who
Right.
are you singing about?
Right. And so when the Surviving R. Kelly came out and they're like, look, You Are Not Alone was written for the girl who had the abortion at 17 and blah, 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 and all these other things. Again, because I'm a songwriter, it's like I understand in order to really get that passion, why those songs were such big hits is because it was real.
Yeah.
Like, you really were digging. And then when I find out who you were writing it about, I'm like, oh God, no. Because it's kind of like when people found out Frank Ocean was gay. And then you realize, like, as a man, like, oh my God, so he was singing about a dude and I was singing along with it.
So,
like, so
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some people won't care. But for me, I was like,
No, I got shame.
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
shame.
for
So
sure.
I had to low key listen. No,
You'll feel a ways. Like,
yeah,
like
I
am
was
I supposed
kosher.
to? Like,
But I was kosher because like I was jamming, and then like I remember I was with my ex, and I was in the shower, and Thinking of You came on,
right.
and then she knocked on the door. She's like, "Hey, G,
Who you think about?
yeah." I was like,
Singing kind of hard in
so I'm
there.
trying to reach with my wet ass hand. I'm trying to reach to switch the track.
Right.
Whatever. I'm like, let me
Right.
just switch. But you're right. It's the
Right.
bias.
Yeah.
It's the bias.
I think, well, not even just the bias. It's like, okay, if I'm listening to a song and I can relate to it, it's no longer a bias. It's like, and if this is what's catapulting your career, like to know that, okay, you became this rich and famous person or whatever, because of the inspiration you were getting behind making music for little girls.
Yeah.
That's discomforting for me.
Facts.
Like when you break, and I'm a person where I overanalyze and break down everything. Where it's like most people like, hey, and go about their business. I'll watch a movie and be like, why was her ponytail on the left in that scene and now it's on the right? I can't take this movie seriously anymore. Like
we were talking about
continuity. Yeah, exactly.
Continuity.
I'm that person where it's like, okay, this doesn't make sense to me. Where I already know it's fake, but if you're gonna make it fake, at least make it believable.
Believable,
fake.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when I see the reality behind it, it's like, no, this is real. So that's why I say it's different. Where, and I found it interesting. I'm like, it's not like Kels had new music when all of a sudden after Surviving R. Kelly came out and all these DJs wanted to play him.
Right.
You're playing him to be rebellious. If it was, he had some new tracks and he was already bubbling and then some drama came behind him, okay, fine. You know, he just dropped his track 2 months ago and he just had drama today. So we were already playing this. But if he had stopped playing him for like 6-7 years because he hadn't really put out anything relevant, and now all of a sudden a bunch of females come forward and say he's been, you know, assaulting me, molesting me, this, that.
Yeah.
Now you want to play his
Now you
music.
wanna play his music.
It makes me uncomfortable where it's like, okay, you're a pervert. Because like knowing, it's one thing to not know. But when you know what it is, it's like, what message are you trying to spread?
Yeah.
And
like, all right, my thing and stuff is that Step in the Name of Love.
He did that to cover his tracks because he was under investigation at that point in time.
At that point,
right? So
I mean, it's same with
when
the,
he came out. I was like, man, get the hell out! Like,
what was the gospel one?
You saved me.
You saved me.
Thing.
Like,
You saved
yeah.
me. Yeah.
And like, it was so in your face. Like, so the thing for me that bothered me the most, I'm like, we saw the tape. Like once. Like I didn't watch the tape. Let me retract that. I didn't watch the tape until Surviving R. Kelly came out. I'd seen enough people.
Really?
Right. Because I just like, when it first happened or whatever, or when I found out about it, and I'm like, enough people are already saying, yeah, it's him.
Right,
You know
to
what I mean?
know.
It's
You
kind of
didn't need
hard.
the proof.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm a researcher. I go online and I look up everything. And I looked it up. And these cases that are just now coming to light, I knew about them like maybe 12 years ago. Because they were all pending. They were just there. And all the people that he paid off and stuff. And I'm like, look here, if I'm not guilty, I'm not giving you a dime.
Facts.
Like straight the hell up. Especially on a something like that. It's different if it's just like, you know, oh, you called me fat. But on like a sexual allegation, if I didn't do that, like I'm
hush
flat
money, you're
out
guilty.
like straight. I don't care about evidence, this, that. I'm flat out saying, look here, whatever you guys can use this against me in court, but I did not piss on that little girl, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. Like whatever happens after that is like, at least let me get my truth out. So for me, it's like I had canceled him a while ago. So when I hear it now, it's like, y'all still listening to this dude? Like, that's what it was for me.
For you.
And then he came back again. And, you know, I had, at that time, the industry was doing a lot of dirty things to a lot of females.
Right.
So it kind of triggered certain things for me and other people where it's like, you see how people respond to it. And it's like, wow, people really don't care what happens to women.
No.
That's how I take it.
Let me ask you something. So now, in today's time, right? It doesn't have to be like, I want to say like at least within the past few years, let's say 3 years furthest back till now, so 2017 to 2020. Have you heard a song that helped build or give you back some inspiration and stuff? It doesn't have to be from Kels and stuff,
No.
but like anybody.
I want to hate on your homeboy.
I separate,
Change the topic
no,
now.
but no. I separate the P from the music and stuff, whatever. That's just me.
You can't. You have a daughter?
No.
Okay. You see how you say your life changed when you had your son?
Yeah.
When you have your daughter, you'll understand what it's like to know that a man could pee on what could have been your daughter with no regard,
What if that was male squirt?
which is pee.
Aha! See,
Told you.
So when we posted a question earlier and stuff, whatever, and we talking about is squirting pee.
Yeah.
He's like, stay woke, Mark. Don't let these girls piss on you.
Yeah, it's
out here."
piss. Like,
I'm telling them.
I think
No,
Golden shower down there.
It's clear shower, sir.
Yeah.
Clear shower.
Clear shower.
3% urea. But when it came down to it and stuff, I'm like, is there music that you hear currently that can still make you feel inspired when you hear it? That's
Coffee.
Coffee.
that's really about.
All right.
Hold on.
Is it Toast?
Toast was an amazing song. Like, just, it wasn't even, I didn't know what she was saying. It wasn't even the lyrics. It was, how do I explain it? The key that it was written in.
Yeah.
Like, I listen to music, I listen to the beat the way I would listen to the lyrics. So whenever somebody gives me a beat, it's like I already know what I'm gonna write because it was already written in the music.
Right.
What
Gotcha.
the instruments they
A lot
use
of
and
people
stuff
don't
like
know
that.
certain keys evoke certain emotions.
Right.
Right, but see,
Exactly.
because you guys are part of the industry.
Right.
I want to say the music creativity,
Right.
creator side. When me, I'm a consumer.
Right.
So as a consumer and stuff, whatever, I'm like, I don't know how you do your magic.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful for it.
Right.
That's why it's hard for me to go to the club. I'm like, why would the DJ mix that track out? Like, what the hell were you thinking?
You said that. You said that shit too. You said that
Like,
too.
I am the worst person to go
It's
partying with because it take unless you're playing 90s music.
Right.
Because how to explain it? Especially, okay, I'll go dance hall. Dance hall, it doesn't require much. There's like 85 songs on the same
one rhythm.
Right.
Right.
So just match the beats per minute and switch and blah, blah, blah. When you're doing hip hop, you got to really dig, like, okay, how do I mix this Nas track with this little Nas X or whatever? Like, how you going to blend that or switch from the R&B to the soul? How you going to throw in a Whitney Houston, like, randomly or whatever? So it's different. And I found, like, nowadays when I was going to clubs or just even, like, on the ride over here, like, I just turned off the radio. I was like, what the hell is on the radio?
Yeah.
And how am I not hearing
And
myself?
See, and so
That irks me the most when a DJ will take a beat, right, and take an acapella, right, and the acapella is totally off key from the beat. The pitch is everything is on perfect, right? I mean, like the tempo is perfect, but the key is off, right? And people will listen to it and be like, "There's something about this." But I just don't get what it is.
Remember
but
Lumity? Yes. That's what they did with that track.
Yes.
And they made it look like the girl couldn't sing.
Right.
Because they literally took it, put it on a different, like she recorded it one way, left the studio, and they did something totally different, which is why, again, ownership is so imperative. Like, it's so essential because people can do that. And I have a new song that's coming out for my birthday, the one where I said I'm competing against myself. And I've been sending out the song to DJs prior to, but again, it's the apples. Okay, how do I explain it? When I originally did it, somebody got a hold of it and told their artist, like, she's about to drop this type of track, so you got to do it first. So once it came out, and I realized, I'm like, I'm not trying to do the whole competition crap. I'm gonna wait till your stuff simmers down, and then I'm gonna put it out because it's always gonna be fresh. It's fresh until it gets old. So. And then, where was it going to that? Oh, yeah. So when I sent it to this DJ, because I had, like, that, going back to Atlanta, this particular song is already on mixtapes in Atlanta. It's already on the radio. It's already doing whatever it needs to do out there.
Right.
It's Toronto that needs to catch up once again.
Facts.
So when I sent it to one of the DJs here in Toronto, he's like, oh, send me, the acapella or whatever. And I was like, for what? And he's like, send me the acapella so that I could put it on a different beat. I'm like, well, why would I do that? And he's like, because it would sound better on this, and I want to remix it because we were supposed to do like a debut, like the Canadian debut. And I'm like, why would I debut my song with a different beat that people here haven't heard yet?
Yeah.
Like, that makes absolutely positively no sense. And I can't get money off of this track if you're just taking a YouTube beat and putting my vocals over it. Like, this is, packaged, ready to go. Like, this is an actual single. I don't mind sending DJ packs, but I don't like sending the DJ pack until I feel like people have already heard my stuff. Right. Because a lot of them will just remix it, or if they want the dub plate, they'll just play the dub plate, and nobody's ever heard the original track before. And it's like, I didn't go to the studio and waste money mixing, mastering, and all this stuff for you to go play your own remix.
Finesse.
Right.
Finesse with the that I love you. And then when Kanye came and did the Selfish for Slum Village.
Right.
I didn't even know Finesse made the track.
Did it? Oh, yeah.
I was like, what the? He stole it from Kanye. They're like, no, he made it way before Kanye.
Right.
Yeah.
But they were mixing it, and then Kanye got wind of it, and that's what the popularity came from.
Yeah.
Because you won't even know where the original will come from when they do that.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want to, like, it's like when Destiny Child came up with No 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 Part 2 before Part 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Part 1 was out there, but it didn't catch wind, and then Part 2 just kind of took off, and that always, I thought it was dope. It was interesting. It's
Part
something
one
to
had like
remember.
a nice slow type
When
of
I see Part
romantic
1, I'm like,
feel.
why the hell didn't they push this? Like,
Yeah.
this is a big, like, you guys kind of, like, stifled your own track by doing that. Like, because, I mean, you got to be a real diehard Destiny's Child fan to really play the first one before you play the second one.
Play the second one.
Because most people play the second one first. Yeah.
Okay. No, man, it's good wrapping up with you, man.
Yeah.
Good wrapping
Likewise.
up with you, man.
It's
Let's get
great.
All right, we going before we get to the question of the week, we gonna ask you to tell the people's the plugs how to find you and stuff like that. So go ahead, the mic is yours.
You can pretty much just pop me in Google, and I pop up everywhere. Alicia Cinnamon, social.
Except for the one in Barbados.
Yeah. On Facebook, I actually have two different Facebooks. One is spelled with an S. Yes, it's Cinnamon with an S. SINNAMON. And then the original. I have Instagram at Alicia Cinnamon, Twitter Cinnamon Delight. I got Black Planet, Alicia Cinnamon on Black Planet.
Black Planet still pumping?
Relaunch. I was like, yo, everybody's asking me the same. Like, girl, you. I'm like, yo, they need to pay me to be ambassador because everybody's response is the same thing, and I love it.
Black Planet's back.
Yeah.
I'm about to give
I'm
you a
telling
boo for
you,
Black
listen,
Planet.
the
follow
other
me
day
on
we were
Black Planet.
arguing-
It's lit.
We were arguing that we need to go back to the planet.
Black Planet. I've been over there. Like I remember, what was it? 2 years ago when Facebook glitched a little bit, like, and everybody couldn't get in their account. And then Black Planet partnered up with Solange, and they relaunched, and I had it then for a little bit. Checked in and out. I booked like maybe 4 interviews alone from the U.S. off of Black Planet because they got their own radio station. Like they got a lot going on. The only thing for me, I'm like, once they have the option of going live, it's like, bye guys. So I've been trying to like transfer my followers, especially because of what I do. Like 90% of the time, the reason why I'm in Facebook jail is because somebody reported like my Black posts. Like, this is offensive. I'm like, really?
And
like
Black Planet, that's regular stuff.
you could do that. Oh man,
That's
like I'm like,
regular.
and people want to hear this. Like my new single, like it, like people love it over in Black Planet world because you got all the revolutionaries over there and stuff like that. So there's and it's predominantly American. So they're like, wow, like we resonate with this. Where I feel like in Canada it was kind of like, oh, we don't have those problems. Like, why are you talking about those? Racism only exists in America. So yeah, so Black Planet guys, check me out there. My website, I actually have my domain aliciacinnamon.com, but it's right now it's being transferred from Alicia Cinnamon at bandboozled.com. So I'm switching it over to Alicia Cinnamon. Because I think I got it from like CD Baby or whatever. So I bought the domain, but I gotta wait to transfer it all over.
Yeah. So
aliciacinnamon.com. Check me out there and just pop me in your search engine, type my name, Alicia Cinnamon, and there's nowhere that I don't pop up.
And you show up.
Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, Google Play, all that good stuff.
She shows up.
Nice.
All
right, let's get to the question of the week. Question of the week is, should men date women that are financially unstable?
Should men date women who are financially unstable?
Yes, because most women and stuff, whatever, or today's women portrays they don't want no broke man.
Should they? I mean, I don't think you should do anything you don't want to do, but is there anything wrong with it? No. I mean, I think if a lot of people dated who they wanted to date and not who society told them that they were supposed to be compatible with, there would be a lot less cheating. There would be a lot less, broken hearts and relationships and drama. Like, if you gravitate with this person, I don't know, that he or she is going through a hard time. It's different if that person wants to stay in that place, but maybe they've never had somebody who is willing to go through the trenches with them.
Right.
And I find women are willing to do that a lot more than men are. Like, I know a lot more of my female friends that would date a bum or a dude who's got like 85 baby moms, ain't paying child support for none of them. Like, he ain't got a car, living at home with his mom or this or that. And she'll still date him, and she's not looking. Like, that's supposed to be something that is whatever, a negative. But to me, it's like, if I speak for myself. If I love a person, I don't really care what your financial situation is as long as you're willing to do better. Like,
Right.
you know,
So
as
you
long
have
as
the ambition.
right.
Ambition.
And you don't got to be rich and famous. Like, you just got to be able to take care of your own bills. Like, you know what I mean? If you got a car, pay your car note, whatever. And if you can't afford the car, don't get one. Like, a lot of
beyond your
people,
means.
right? That's it. It's like a lot of people. Like, I like people who are realistic with their budget. So I would expect that as well too. Like, I'm an artist. In the beginning of COVID, I didn't know how I was gonna make money. So for me to sit here and be like, "Oh, I can't date no man who's broke," and then that backfires.
We live in a time of the Birkin
right?
bags.
A little help, like, you know. So I'm just, I could never. I remember, what was it, Simone B? I think the comedian, she caught some slack for that because she was saying she couldn't date anybody.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but I get where she was coming from. Like, I personally would prefer to date an entrepreneur. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have money.
Right,
Probably mean
right.
the opposite, really and truly. But I just, in terms of the lifestyle, that makes sense. So I think,
Because like, I feel like that might match your energy, and I don't want to speak for you,
Right.
but I feel like it'll match your energy and stuff like that. You're doing,
right.
and you want a person that's a doer and stuff as
Right.
well,
Right.
Whatever. Because the way how you might measure success, or they might measure their success
Right.
and stuff, whatever. That's all between you two.
Exactly.
So that's all on YouTube and
Exactly.
stuff for that, right? Fuck everybody else and stuff for
Exactly.
that, because at the end of the day, I don't think you'll be going to bed with like emperor-sized bed with so many people.
Right.
in
People
a
don't
bed.
get that. It's like, oh, you should, like, when you hear like a guy like tell his homies like, oh, you shouldn't date that girl because, you know, she was ran through or this or that. And it's like, are you running through her now? Like, I'm not saying that you should want that, but it's like, if that was like 10, 15 years ago or whatever, in my mind, and I always say this to people, it's like, I don't tell nobody about their partner unless I want them. So if somebody's telling you about your partner, oh, they're broke, they're this or that, whatever, why do you care so much unless you want that person? Or, oh, this person used to be a hoe. Like, why? Was it good? You're missing it? Like, you know, so what's the...
True.
and speaking from a woman's perspective, like, I've had men tell me, like, if we stop talking, I'll destroy your reputation because I don't want... If I can't have it, nobody else can. So there a lot of...
That's called good WAP.
Definitely. So there's a lot of women I found that fell in the category of like non-desirable because of what some guy said. Oh, she's broke, she's a gold digger. Meanwhile, it's like she's got her own job, she's got her own house, she's got her own this, but somebody said that about her.
Right.
So now it becomes her image. So I just feel like people just need to date whoever makes you happy and have enough of a backbone. I think if you tell somebody right off the bat, like, don't talk about my partner, they won't do that. So you got to set the precedent right off the bat.
Cool.
Got it.
What about you, man? Should men date women that's financially unstable?
I don't know. My mom always told me it's easier to fall in love with a rich woman than it is poor.
Ha!
True.
So if I'm to take my mom's advice,
Very, very. Yeah.
I mean,
Probably a little
is
happier.
she
than
lying?
well, too.
Money can't buy happiness, but it's a damn good down payment.
Right,
not
right.
famous for something.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's what's up. All right, man. Let's get to the Ask the Sons and slide up out of here. First Ask the Sons comes from Muramasa23. What theme song would you give to the year of 2020? I want both of y'all answers. You go first, Alicia. Ladies first.
Well, I would give it my new single, The Revolution Has Been Televised.
Hey! I like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Smooth. That's you, man.
I get to the theme songs off the Monsters.
Which one?
Adam's
Adam's Family,
Okay.
man.
The Adam's Family, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. For me, fuck all the chaos and shit. I want to say the theme song should be sirens. Yo, like police sirens, cops.
God,
Not even cops, man,
intro
but
of the
just any
Pose.
sirens, damn it. Just like ambulance, fire trucks,
Right.
just that.
Yeah.
That'll run through for me. Next question is GG_28. What is something that you genuinely don't understand? You go first.
Something that I genuinely
Don't understand.
Gravity.
I know a lot of
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation
Yeah,
about
like, what's
that
up
the
with
other day.
Gravity.
Like, does it really exist?
For me, it's Bitcoin.
Big-
Yo, I can watch like 10 fucking documentaries on
And
Bitcoin,
still not-
and I'm like,
I think I'm
you
lost
get
on
it from
that
the
too.
store? They're like, I seen a Bitcoin machine downtown.
I
I'm
don't
like,
know.
am I gonna take out
Virtual
Bitcoin?
currency? Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I ain't fucking with that. What about you?
Something I genuinely don't understand. Bad mind.
Hey.
Yeah. I'll never understand.
I think because you're a positive person, and I think when you
Yeah.
remember, you have half empty, half full.
Right.
So if you're a half full type of person,
Right.
Yeah.
you won't understand the half empty thing.
Right.
And
I just don't. I just. we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So if what is meant for you will be for you. And if it's not for you, it's not supposed to be for you. That's just how I look at life.
No, I agree with that. I can dig that.
And it's why it's, I mean, the amount of time that you spent on this negative point, you could have spent doing something positive for your damn self.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the negative people. Remember, there's too many directors, not enough actors. So everybody always has something to say instead of doing.
Right.
True.
Right.
Very true.
Last question comes from Baby Che. What is easier to create and harder to destroy?
That's a good question.
Debt.
Yeah.
Yo, you can swipe a credit card or swipe a card that fast. That and babies.
I'm gonna use Alicia's answer and say bad mind.
Yeah.
It's
easy.
It is hard to destroy bad
It's easy to create.
They multiply like
It's
roaches.
easy to create, but it is hard to destroy.
Absolutely.
I guess you can't turn a deaf ear to it. No.
You may be listening, but other people might not be able to.
I got one. COVID.
And that, my friends, seals the deal. That is the one.
I wouldn't mic drop, but Smooth might fucking kill me. So
Don't drop none of these ones.
no. I dig that. I dig that. I genuinely dig that. That's what's up. I am not mad at that. Go, girl.
Mad.
All right, man. Let's slide out of here. Before we slide out here, hit them off with the So Say the Sons for the week. So Say the Sons for the week. A little motivation to get you through. Stop feeding your problems with thoughts. Starve them with action.
So Say the Sons.
Yeah, man. Most definitely. Like, you are your own worst enemy, or you could be your own hero. Pick. It's up to you to pick and choose and stuff. And actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Facts. That was a good one.
All right. Once again, man, thank you for coming through. Appreciate
Thanks for
the love.
having me.
Thank you for the knowledge and the free game.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Once again, the name of the latest release is
The Revolution has been televised.
Hey, look out for it on YouTube and all your audio plugs possible. All right. Once again, thank you for listening to the Podical Sons. Remember, the difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has limits. Peace and love.
good.
Love.
Oh, and you guys make sure you check me out at the Mix 2 Festival. It's a Latin Heritage Festival, and that is going to be November 27th through November 29th. And I'm going to be dropping something between the 17th and the 21st for my birthday. So November 21st or November 17th, you guys stay tuned for a very special surprise.
Stay tuned. And we'll have that post up on our socials as well, just to make sure everybody has that information.
Yes.
Easy to find.
The Podical Sons with Not Your Average Joseph and Sofa King Marvelous.